The NDC on Tuesday retained the seat in Amenfi West constituency after winning a by-election there following the death of its Member of Parliament, John Jitua. 41-year-old Cocoa purchasing clerk Eric Affle, who represented the party, polled some 15,809 votes, representing 52.64% of the total vote cast to win the seat. His contender, lawyer Paul Denchi from the opposition MPP, however, managed to pull 13,078 votes, representing some 43.54%. Whilst the PPP's Abraham Kujo Bwedi and the UFP's Elvis Ajay garnered 1,032 votes and 113 votes respectively. Meanwhile, Eric Affle in his acceptance speech thanked President as well as the constituents for the victory, promising to complete all pending developmental projects in his period before the close of the term.
I earlier told you that I know what is happening in the constituency. The people like the NDC because of the numerous projects NDC has done in the constituency to uplift their standard of living. And therefore, looking at their faces, they were ready to vote for NDC again, despite the demise of the late Honorable John Jitua. So they wanted to vote for Eric Affle to come and replace the late Honorable. I thank Joy News. For about 3 days, I've been capturing my words from the constituency to the entire world. So my profound gratitude goes to them. I hope when I come to Parliament, a few weeks, I'll be with them. I want them to continue the work that they have been doing for me. Thank you very much. Joy News.
And we have our correspondent on the line, Benjamin Peters. And William Benjamin Peters, a very good morning to you. Now, what could be the notable observations you picked up, particularly in the run-up to the close of the counting periods of the polls, before mainly the declaration?
Yeah, Roland, the voting started yesterday in earnest at about 7 a.m. And after everything came everything was closed at 5 p.m. yesterday. Voting started, just as you've stated, in almost all the various polling stations in the constituency. And earlier on, we most of the people didn't anticipate that Eric can win the seat because of what we earlier on heard from the people, that maybe the MPP will this time around win the seat because they think they have been deprived of the needed development. But surprisingly, at the end of the day, Eric was able to retain the seat for the ruling party with a margin of 15,809, representing 52.64%. So during my interview with him, he believes that the people believe in what the NDC has for them, and they would also want the party to continue the development that they started in the constituency. That is why they have retained him.
Now, what were some of the observations you picked up, particularly from the political parties and their strategies about the turnout and some of the notable statistics that really you can attribute to this very election?
Yeah, turnout somehow started on a high note yesterday, but unfortunately, we don't know what happened. It later declined because it was a market day yesterday, so the various, all the voters, especially the women, came to turn out early to cast their vote. But we don't know what happened out of the people that were expected, that is 62,364. Only 30,561, representing just 49.0% came out to cast their ballots. I mean, we don't know the factors behind those things. Those were some of the unusual things I personally realized about the election, because we thought turnout would actually be high, but unfortunately things turned out somewhere.
We were hearing reports of some sporadic gunshots that were seen to have been reported by you and the media across the constituency. Was that true?
Yeah, we also heard that unfortunate thing, but unfortunately it was only the MPP who came up to admit the unfortunate thing, nobody, not even the police commander here, was able to confirm it for me. I spoke to the regional secretary of the MPP, and he told me that General Mosquito and some party bigwigs went to a community called Turum Pine, and upon reaching there, they were hooted at. So the man got angry and he came back with some military officers who allegedly assaulted the assemblyman for the area. But we've tried a lot to get somebody to confirm that for us. And it seems nobody is aware of the situation, not even the police officer. I spoke to him and he told me somebody has also called him, but he's yet to confirm it. And effort to reach the people there to confirm the situation proved futile as I speak to you.
Okay, we'll try and see as much as possible whether you can get a lot more information. Have you left the constituency?
Yeah, I'm around, Roland.
Okay. The Electoral Commission, as far as this very organization of the polls, what were some of the observations they noted they needed to improve upon, particularly when some of the reports you were saying indicated some ballot boxes or papers, or is it the voter registration documents had not arrived in some of the polling areas?
Yeah, aside the mimicking of the voters register, one electoral officer also made a complaint to me that there were some numbers on the cards that the voters used in voting. But unfortunately, since they were not much sensitized on that, so majority of them took it to a wrong voting center, and they had to be directed to their original voting center. And most of them got annoyed and decided that they cannot travel all the way to such a voting center to cast their ballot. So in brief, I believe that the franchise most of the voters. So I believe one thing that the Electoral Commission can learn from this election is that sensitization should be intensified. Should such a thing happen, that there should be voting anyway.
Well, thank you very much. William Benjamin Peters, our correspondent on the grounds there. And the Amefi West by-election has ended, and the NDC has retained that very seat. Now, let's move to other substantive stories as well. And the Edwusu Dwapem Municipal Assembly has rejected a nominee for the position of Municipal Chief Executive, Yamwa Ponko. Well, there were wild jubilations in and outside the Assembly Hall when the vote count showed that the controversial nominee had lost the vote.
Was Senate test put before me? Did I write an examination? So choose your word well. Why have I failed? You can ask me, are you disappointed? But you cannot say failed. What do you mean by failed? Have I written the exams? Have I?
So are you disappointed?
Eh?
So are you disappointed?
Of course, I am. As a human being, I'm disappointed. But there is nothing that will justice their decision. What about tomorrow? There could be another or different decision.
Well, correspondent Prince Apia is joining us on the line with a lot more. Now, can you tell us about how the voting went in the first place?
Yeah, Roland, the voting actually went very smoothly, but at a point there was some misunderstanding when counting began, especially for the that of the MCE, because earlier I started with the presiding member election before the MCE election, whether to reject or confirm its appointment by the president. The reason being that the former chairman of the constituency went close to where the counting was being done, and he told everybody after the EC asked who is in for the no count, that he went and said that he's in for the no count. So some of the supporters became very furious about that, the statement that he made, and they asked that he leaves there because he's the former chairman. So it started the whole proceedings for a while. But then they resolved it. He went, he left the place. Then the EC actually started counting. He left the counted the ballot sheet to the crowd. Then he did that through the counting. So it dragged the whole proceedings right from 10 o'clock that it was supposed to start to somewhere 2 o'clock, 3 thereabout. And after everything, now the result was that 41 assembly members voted no for the appointment of Yamoa Ponko, and then 25 voted yes, which meant that he didn't get the 2/3 of the votes that will guarantee that he's affirmed as the MC for Yamoa Ponko, for Ejiso Jabin for the second time. So in 10 days' time, they would have to come back and then vote again to either reject or affirm him, if only the president reappoints Yamoa Ponko as the MC for Ejiso Jabin. That was when everything started. Outside, residents, assembly members, everybody were in jubilant mood. They were shouting, they were singing, they were dancing, and it was surprising. The reason for all the jubilation and the excitement was that Yamoa Ponko, during his tenure as the MC for the 4 years, the residents and the assembly members felt that he was very, very imposing. His leadership was very bad. He was autocratic. He acted like a dictator, and he felt that he was very disrespectful, not only to the assembly members, but also to even workers who were working in the assembly for him. One woman, for instance, told me that one day he went to the office to go clean up the place, and he shouted on her, which made her, what you say, urinate on herself. So it was a very...
Well, pretty substantially, it means that at least some of the indicators were pointing to the fact that he was not a popular figure, or is not a popular figure around the Ejiso Jabin municipality. But as far as we are concerned in this very regard, does it mean that even he didn't have the support of the ruling party and its executives in the municipality?
Yeah, for the municipality, it is that he doesn't have the support of the constituency executive, because the chairman, the secretary were all, if you recall, some 3 months ago, came out publicly and stated that they don't want the FIFA Yamoa Ponko to be back, because he didn't give them space to. He was imposing on them. He was dictating everything to them. So he didn't have their support. And even yesterday, they were emphatic on that what happened during the voting was a statement to tell the president that they don't need him, he shouldn't bring him back. So the constituency executives are not in support of his appointment. But you will know, it is worth to note that the regional NDC executives are very behind him, because yesterday the Kumasi mayor, Kojo Gunsu, was there to support. The regional minister, Peter Anefi, was also there. Even before the election began, he spoke to the people, pleaded with them to vote to affirm Yamoa Ponko to become the MC for the second time. So for the regional executives, they were in support, but for the constituency, no, they were not in support of him.
Do you still get the indication that if he's reappointed, he could still be rejected?
Yes. It was obvious yesterday, and all the interviews I had, anybody that I spoke to, the things they were saying was that if he comes for 20 times, they are going to reject him. Their simple message is that they don't want him there. The president should appoint a new person to lead the Ejiso Jabin municipality.
Well, thank you very much, our correspondent, speaking to us from the Ashanti region, giving us an indication as to why Yamoa Ponko was rejected to be the next substantive, or to be retained as a substantive MC for Ejiso Jabin. We have to move on to Parliament, and the minority leader, Osei Chairman Sabunsu, is questioning the allocation of sums $3.6 million for the rebranding of 115 buses for the Metro Mass Service. Well, speaking on the floor of Parliament, Mr. Mensa Bunsu questioned government's priorities, especially when key sectors of the economy still remain underfunded.
Information that I have is that you have made provision You have made provision to spend, the ministry has made provision to spend 3,649,000 of ABFA to rebrand the 116 buses that are parked here at the premises of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, the rebranding is the pictures that have been embossed on these buses. Mr. Speaker, it translates to about 31,000. What we are seeing there, 31,000 Ghana cedis on one bus. 31,000 Ghana cedis for the rebranding of just one bus. 310 million on the rebranding of one bus. Mr. Speaker, that cannot be tolerated.
Meanwhile, the Transport Minister, Atani warned her ministry will not be able to achieve target for 2016 due to cuts in its budgetary allocation. Its 2016 budget is 126.3 million Ghana cedis, even though the ministry asked for some 600 million Ghana cedis. Well, moving the motion for the approval of the ministry's estimates, Atani said her outfit would struggle to implement next year's plans as well as other projects for the period.
I wish to draw the attention of the House to the fact that this allocation, as against the planned budget of 688,759,724 Ghana cedis, is woefully inadequate to meet the developmental needs of the sector in 2016. The allocated amount is 65% less than the 2015 approved budget of 361,652,706 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, the most affected is the development of the railway network, for which works are ongoing for the Takoradi to Secondary commuter rail line. The provision of 10 million from ABFA cannot meet the completion cost of the project schedule for next year. Also, for the ministry and its subvented agencies, no provision has been made for assets, which means no equipment or capital assets could be acquired for next year. Mr. Speaker, I would therefore be grateful if this August House will request the Minister of Finance to improve our budget allocation for 2016.
Former head of Nigeria's Electoral Commission, Professor Tahiru Jega, is advising against the political coloration of the current debate on Ghana's voters' register. Professor Jega is in Ghana for the series of public engagements as part of the 25th anniversary celebrations of the Institute of Economic Affairs. Doubts so far have been raised about Ghana's electoral register after the opposition New Patriotic Party described it as bloated. Speaking to Joy News after paying a courtesy call on Chief Justice Georgina Wood, the leadership of Parliament and the MPP flag bearer, Nana Adodankwe Kufuado, Professor Jega said the debate over the voters' register should be devoid of political sentiments.
Always, in all countries, there is always a debate as to how to improve the quality of the voters' register, and I think it's a healthy debate. And I think what is important that it should not be a partisan debate. It should be a very rational debate about how to improve the quality of the register so that the quality of elections can be improved up.
When you say partisan debate, what could be the consequences if this?
What I mean is that when people are looking at the question of the integrity of the register, they should look at it carefully from the point of view of deepening democracy, not from individual calculations.
The town at the heart of Ghana's oil industry has little to show for its fossil-rich geography, and residents of Cape 3 Point in the western region have held on to a frail hope for change since 2007, when Ghana first discovered oil. As the country marks the 5th anniversary of the start of oil production, Joy News' Justice Beidou spent time in the community. In the first of a 5-part series, he describes how poor education inevitably leads to poor people.
It's a do-it-yourself thing on a Monday morning. pupils of Cape 3 Point Primary School pushed to the edge. Stories of children learning under trees with no chairs to sit on and teachers to teach is common in Ghana, but that of Cape 3 Point is rather interesting.
It's 10 o'clock on a Monday morning and teachers are yet to arrive for these children. It's only because most of these teachers live far outside this community and would have to commute for about 25 kilometers to get here every Monday morning. It's a dark room with very little ventilation. But what this camera wouldn't tell you though is just the amount of heat these children would learn in every single day.
Yeah, it's difficult because we are facing a lot of challenges in this community. The students, some of them don't like coming to school. And even their parents too, when they complain at them, they say that they are not having money to pay even the extra classes, 30 pesos. And even for the person to get money to come to school is difficult. So at times, we the masters have to go around and give maybe some of the kids money before coming to school. Even it's horrible because in this place, they are not having anybody that they are going to say that this man is my role model or this lady is my role model. No, they are not having. So always they thought that their fathers always let me spend this one tree. I must say I'm quite poor. Fishing, go and fish. So the small money that they get, they used to cater the family. So the juniors, the kids do things that when they grow up, they will go and fishing. Their future, I cannot determine their future because I'm not God.
Town, the epicenter of Ghana's oil wealth, like many such coastal towns, is still desperately poor 5 years into commercial oil production, and children pay such a high price for education. The Cape 3 Point School has constantly recorded massive failures in the basic education certificate examination, according to figures from the Ghana Education Service. And the result of that is not hard to find. In the heart of the town, I meet 21-year-old Esther Yeboah. After scraping through the education system here to make it to the senior high school, she hits a wall. Esther, like many her age in this town, is trapped. No qualification to move on, and yet no skill to start a life. Now she has a baby. Of 2015, Ghana had raked in over $3 billion in oil money over the last 5 years. But stories like that of young people in Cape 3 Point at the heart of the petrodollars raises questions over where young people stand in all of this. Justice Beidou, Joy News, Cape 3 Point.
And that beautiful report is by Justice Beidou. We'll bring you a more lengthy one, and that'll be part of our segment later on. As always, make sure you get interactive. We have Joy News on TV. There's our page on Facebook. It has a link on our Twitter handle, Joy News on TV, and also a number for our WhatsApp console, 0560 800,000. As you get interactive, we'll bring you a lot more. If you live in communities close to the shores of the Western region, how do you feel? Not only about this report, but your experiences so far since 2007. we'll be grateful to get a lot more of those comments. But that very report by Justice Bedu will take us to the next segment, in which we'll be looking at a lot more of the issues, not only on the front and back page of the newspapers as presented or captured on the news portal majoronline.com, but also other news stories featured on other news portals. Well, be my guest as always. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll have a lot more for you.